here for a while, but I'm glad to be back. You tuned in to Mel from Queens Sports Talk, WGJS Radio. So I thank y'all. I want y'all to call in. Give me a call today, 347-410-8077. That's 347-410-8077. We're going to talk about a couple things today. We're going to talk a little bit of NFL. We're going to talk a little soccer, Argentina with the big win over France yesterday. We're going to talk about Deion Sanders. And we also going to talk about the GOAT. I got a question I want to pose about the GOAT. Matter of fact, let's pose that question now. So I was talking to some people, right? And the conversation about the GOAT came up. And when we're talking about the NFL, right, I feel like you can't determine the GOAT the same way you do other sports, right? Like, say, baseball, basketball, football, right? And here's the reason why. In football, most players, they only play one side of the ball, right? So you cannot be the GOAT. So, for example, some people say Tom Brady. Tom Brady is like the GOAT, right? Because he got the most rings. I disagree. Like, if you want to have a conversation saying that Tom Brady is one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game, all right, cool. That's a great conversation to have. But to say that he's the GOAT, even LT, I'm a big LT fan. LT is like one of my favorite players of all time. But I can't call LT the greatest football player to ever play the game. Why? Because LT only played on a defensive side of the ball. So as much as you can have an impact on defense, there's still a whole nother side of the ball that can change the game. Same thing with offense. As great as you can be on offense, there's still a whole nother side of the ball where on defense where you can kind of that the game can change and you can make impact. You can have so for example, for when Tom Brady won a lot of his championships, it wasn't just Tom Brady. He had a lot of times he had a great defense. He had one of the top defenses, in the NFL a lot of those times. So here's my thing. When we're talking about the GOAT in football, what are the criteria? Because I feel if you want to talk about the greatest player of all time, it has to be players that play both sides of the ball. So, for example, I had threw this out there on my Facebook yesterday. When we're talking about the GOAT, right, you have to, or one of the greatest players to play the game all the time, right, you have to include a player like Deion Sanders. Like, why? Deion Sanders, we know he got championships, but what made Deion Sanders special, Deion Sanders is actually, you could put him in the conversation as one of the greatest athletes of all time. Played in the World Series, played in the Super Bowl. He played, he was great in baseball, he was great in football. But what I like about him in football is that he pretty much, he played defense. He played offense. He played special teams. He could return punts. He could return kickoffs. You can put him and do as receiver. Throw him out there. He can catch passes. He could throw reverses. He was quick. So when we're talking about football, there's no way a one-sided player can be the GOAT. As much as I'm a Giants fan, I love LT. LT cannot be the GOAT, the greatest football player to ever play. Now, we can say that LT is the greatest defensive player to ever play the game, but is he the greatest player to play the game? There's no way, because you have to be able to play both sides or impact both sides of the ball. And what I'm saying is that in a lot of sports, let's say like the NBA, for example, or let's say like baseball, not only do you have to play offense for the most part, but you have to play defense, right? So when we talk about people that's in the conversation for the GOAT, let's say in the NBA, the Kareems, the LeBrons, the Magics, the Michael Jordan, whoever else you want to meet, the Bill Russells, most of those guys play offense and defense. They got points, they got rebounds, Well, not really Magic. Magic really wasn't a great defensive player, but he got triple doubles. He still contributed to defense because he got rebounds. So that's the way he contributed. Magic was one of the players, they got a lot of rebounds, a lot of assists. So he contributed on both sides in many different ways. When we talking about football, Tom Brady, he's a quarterback. And we've seen times where, hey, he might have came and helped with a game-winning drive, but then the defense had to come back and hold the other team, stop the other team from scoring, right? So Tom Brady really didn't seal the deal in some cases. Some cases he did, some cases he didn't. Even in Seattle, the Super Bowl when they won against Seattle. Tom Brady, that was one of his worst Super Bowls he ever played. That wasn't a great Super Bowl. Tom Brady didn't win that Super Bowl for them. He probably got, I'm pretty sure he got the MVP that year, but he didn't win that Super Bowl. They just gave him, I think he did get Super Bowl MVP that year. So, but he didn't win that game. The defense won that game. I mean, think about this. If the Seattle Seahawks score, then they win. If it wasn't for that interception by Russell Wilson, then the Seahawks would be two-time champs, right? So we can't forget about that when we're talking about the GOAT of football. So I want y'all to pretty much comment. I want y'all to tell me who y'all think is the greatest football player of all time. And also, does it have to be a player that plays both sides of the ball? Can you be the GOAT playing one side of the ball? And to me personally, I say no. So if you want to debate Tom Brady's one of the greatest offensive players to ever play the game, the greatest quarterback to play the game, those are conversations that you can have. Those are debates we can have. Those are real live debates that we can have. LT, same with LT. If you want to say Lawrence Taylor is the greatest defensive player to play the game, okay, that's the conversation to be had because they made tremendous impacts on those sides of the ball. And yeah, I just so give me a call, 347-410-8077, 347-410-8077. And don't forget to subscribe to WGJS, Our World Media on YouTube. Yeah, subscribe to Our World Media on YouTube. I want you to like, I want you to comment, I want you to share, I want you to hit the bell and go to the bell and hit all right? So I want y'all to do that. Now, with that being said, we got some people in the building. Was good. That was good. With that being said, I want to transition a little bit too to Deion Sanders. Now, I want this topic to die down now. I don't want the media to keep beating a dead horse, but Jackson State, they lost 41-34 this past weekend. So now Deion Sanders is officially going to Colorado, right? And it's been a lot of talk about Deion Sanders. And if you go watch one of my shows, go back and watch Our World Media. Watch everything on Our World Media. But for sports-wise, go check out Mel from Queens Sports Talk. I spoke about this a little bit. But there's one thing I do want to say about this topic before I just leave it alone, right? When we're comparing the HBCUs to some of the other bigger programs, right? Here's the thing. I respect, right? I'm the type of person, I would never tell a man what he can or can't do, right? I would never tell a man that, you can't take a opportunity, don't go for the money or anything like that, right? But here's an issue that I have with the whole Deion Sanders thing. And some may agree and some may disagree. But I hate that we live in a time now where you can't share your thoughts without being a hater. Every time you share your thoughts nowadays, you're a hater, you hating on somebody, you don't want to see people win. You know what I mean? It's like it's always something. You just can't have a conversation. Sometimes something just like a conversation, and you have a right to feel the way you feel. Like, you know what I mean? People have a right to feel the way they feel. So here's my only thing about the HBCU, right? From the speech that Deion gave from the beginning, it was more than just Jackson State University. It was all about, shining a light on HBCU, right? Now, here's the issue I have. I don't have an issue with Deion Sanders going and saying that I want to make more money for my family. So don't be out there saying I'm a hater. But by him leaving, to me, it made HBCU, the light that he shed, to me, by him leaving, he just pretty much dulled it all over again. That's to me. You might say, how? Because people came and they supported Deion Sanders, right? They supported Jackson State University. You know, people looked at HBCU, right? Now, with that being said, but he left. And what did he say when he left? He said, I'm being elevated, right? So when you say you're being elevated, that means something is, what's the word we want to use? It's below. You're going somewhere higher. So it's like when you're going out to a restaurant, the appetizer is just a thing to get you ready. It's just to get you ready for the main course, for the entree, right? So the appetizer is like something light, but you don't really come to a restaurant for the appetizer. You come because you want a nice meal. So by him leaving, he painted, to me, this is just to me personally, I feel he painted HBCU as an appetizer for athletes, for coaches, because from my understanding, he's taking some coaches with him to Colorado. He's taking some cheerleaders with him to Colorado. He's taking some players with him to Colorado. If it's all about building up HBCU, why are you taking players, coaches from these programs? Oh, somebody could be like, well, he recruited these players. Okay, so why not let them stay there and continue to build up those programs? Why do you think Colorado and all these top schools are so big? Because they keep getting our talent. If we hold on to our talent, the programs will grow. I mean, it's just that, it's like a black and white, this is not a hating thing. Most of the schools that are successful, right? It don't matter which sport it is. Think about how many athletes each year, the top athletes throughout the country, do they get? Now, just say for instance, if Deion Sanders would have stayed at Jackson State University, like say for over a year, because this is not like a 2.5 year thing. This is not like a 3-year thing just because and like I said, I know the schools is grateful for what he did. He donated money and he did all those things and stuff like that. That's a great thing, right? Nobody's like knocking that. But also, I watched a video and somebody went on campus and they were interviewing the students and there was mixed feelings on campus. And some people say like, hey, everybody keep trying to like shine a spotlight on what Deion did, but we supported Deion. What if Deion came and we didn't show up to the games? People were traveling miles to come to the games to support. What if he got there and people didn't show up? So it works both sides. Not like, oh, Deion did everything and nobody else did anything else. And also, I'm hearing this stuff too, right? People want to leak stuff in the media about things that went on at the campus. Like one incident where, let's say, when Deion Sanders had robbed, right? They stole his wallet. You know, he got everything back, his watch, a couple of, personal items, right? And they're like, see, that's why he shouldn't be there. They stole his stuff and they broke into his son's car. See, we always look for out to try to like make excuses. Let's not make excuses. Do we realize how many scandals some of these top D1 schools went through? Did we forget about Joe Paterno and what went on over there at Penn State? Do we forget about the scandals and the violations that Rick Pitino and Joe Bohan and what's the name? How I'm pronouncing? I'm probably saying it right. Bohan and all these coaches who ran scandals. That's way worse than somebody breaking in your car or stealing a material thing. Don't get me wrong, stealing is wrong, but as people always try to paint our culture in this negative light and try to make excuses to justify like he should leave because somebody broke into his car. Listen, whenever you take over a position, right, or a school or a program, you got to know what you're getting into. So if the area in the neighborhood, it might not be as safe in the beginning. It takes time to build. You got to weed people out. You got to weed the negative people out as you go, right? So many times, with that being said, many times we feel that leaving the black culture is better. And people always say, yeah, you got to go get the money because it generates the wealth and we got to build up our community. We come back and bring that money back to our community. So go get the money. Now, if you want to individually, and what end up happening is people end up going and getting money, and it's not a knock. and they just build generational wealth for their family, and they do it that way. Not too many people come back and truly invest in the community, right? And there's some people out there. So what I mean by that, like in schools, private schools, I'm talking about like that's anti the public school systems and what they teach and all that stuff, right? Schools, supermarkets, like I said, supermarkets, it's the same thing as a grocery store, our own schools, our own communities, whether it be living and different things like that, right? Where's that happening at? Who's doing that? Where's that happening when we can go and say that celebrities are really coming in and are building solid communities? It's not happening. And then what happens? Other people come in with the same money that these athletes had that they could invest in our communities. And what do? They buy our communities. And what the first thing we do? We cry, oh, our community is being gentrified. That's what people are always crying about. So which one is it? Because when people take the money from our community, they take the money and most don't come back and invest in the community. I'm talking about invest in the community, meaning like make changes. When they call things gentrified in our communities, because people come and they make changes and they make it better. I got a call in, so let's see. You tuned in to WGJS Radio, Mel from Queens Sports Talk. Caller, what's your name, caller, and where you calling from? What's going on, caller? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, hello?
Yeah, what's going on? What's your name and where you calling from?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you, caller.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you loud and clear.
This is Jay from Long Island.
Oh, what's going on, Jay? What you want to talk about today?
I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Just go with it. I can hear you clearly. Just go with it.
I want to talk about what you were saying. A couple of things.
Okay.
About Brady.
Okay.
All right, so this is my thing. I think I'm a Brady fan, but I absolutely do think you can be the GOAT and NFL football just playing one side. So in any sport, no matter what sport you play, I don't care. Defense does not matter because the only way to win a game is to score. That's the only way. That's the only way to win a game, to win the Super Bowl, is to score. Offense is the most important weapon in any sport, whether chess, whether tennis, whether. So if you play great defense and I can play great defense, and 0-0, nobody wins the game. Somebody got to put points on the board. That's why Brady, to me, there is no such thing as a GOAT to me, but Brady is one of the GOATs. So if somebody say he is a GOAT, I don't have no problem with that because he has proven time and time again. Because with those defenses, you take Brady off the field, they still haven't won those. They wasn't winning Super Bowls. So with Brady, no matter what happened, like even if you brought up the Super Bowl where the defense scored an interception, right?
Right.
At the 1 yard line, right? That was just to steal a game. The Patriots were already up. So there was no guarantee that even if they didn't get an interception, there's no guarantee the receiver would have caught it, the pass was on target, would have been inbound. There's so many different variables that would have to play for them to win a game. And we've seen what Brady had 50 seconds and 30 seconds and drive the team down and get a game-winning field goal or overtime field goal. So when it comes to sports, I disagree when they say you have to play both sides of the field.
Now let me.
He plays defense. So as much as impact he can have on defense, he ain't really scoring no points. So you can get as many sacks, as interceptions, whatever you want. But I ain't putting no points on the board. Yeah, it helps your team, but it's not helping you win. The only way you can win in any sport is to score. So that's why, to me, the people who score the best and the most, to me, are the better player. I'll take a great scorer over a great defender any day because sports is about acting, not reacting. So that's why Jordan saw great Kobe, Shaquille O'Neal, Brady. That's why you look at most of the time they give MVPs and stuff to offensive players because as pretty your interception look, most of the time you get an interception, it's just a turnover and it leads to no point.
Now, let me say this. Now, here's where I disagree at, right? Because you have players like Bill Russell, you got Scottie Pippen. If you want to talk about the Seahawks, right? Just because we don't think that we probably think they don't want to score, you still got to stop somebody. So it's not about who scored the most. It's all about who scored the most and then who stopped the other person from scoring. Because me and you going back and forth, back and forth, back. We saw games back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's not about. So it's a combination of both, right? It's about who score last and who also get the most stops. So for example, we could either go to just say the Golden State, right? If LeBron don't get that block on Andre Iguodala, right? He make that layup. Kyrie's 3 only put them up 1 point. So then now when Golden State come down, they ain't got to force up no 3. They could drive to the hole. They could do many other options. So really, look at it both ways. Defense wins games. We've been hitting that for years. And offense wins games. Brady always won Super Bowls when he had a great defense. Brady never won a Super Bowl when he just had a great offense. It's very rare that teams win a Super Bowl with just great offense. It's very rare that people win championships with just great offense. Now, I do agree you have to have a combination of both. Both are important. So I'm just saying that when you talk about the GOAT, yeah, just because you score, when the game was on the line, Brady was on the sideline. Brady didn't win that game. The defense won the game because the defense is the ones that got the stop. So what I'll let you continue though. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? Yo, thanks for calling, Jay, for Long Island, man. You know, that was a good point. So I'm the type of person, I'm never going to knock nobody's point. He made some great points. I agree with a lot of points he made. The only thing that we're going to continue to disagree on is the aspect that you need an offense. I feel like with offense is more fun. It's more entertaining. You get more highlights from offense. You get highlights from defense as well, but offense, a lot of times people think is more entertaining. So people love Jordan because Jordan put on a show. But Jordan was just as good on defense as he was offense. Same thing with LeBron. A lot of players like Bill Russell. Bill Russell won 11 championships, and he probably was better on defense than he was on offense. And he has the most championships than anybody in the NBA. I don't think Tom Brady had 7 Super Bowls without a solid defense. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. He still could be a great quarterback, but I don't think he win those Super Bowls without a solid defense. So I think the two work hand in hand, and that's why I feel like when you have a player, and y'all give me some more players that played both sides of the ball that was great. You know, we got Deion right now. I feel like Deion Sanders was a better player than Tom Brady. I don't care if Brady got more Super Bowls. I feel Deion Sanders was a better player. Now, people could disagree if you want, but Deion Sanders was an elite at his positions. You could put him out there and you could say, you know what? I'm having Deion Sanders as a cornerback. He's going to guard your top receiver. And then the quarterback probably won't even look at that side maybe once or twice the whole game. And it was because of Deion Sanders as well that they won Super Bowls. Dallas, don't get me wrong, he won with the Emmett, the Aikman, the Irvin. He had a good team with the 49ers. But him shutting down the whole side of the field when you ain't got to worry, think about it. He shut down the whole side of the field. Want to give a shout out to the Lux Library for tuning in. Thank you for always supporting the show. Yo, y'all go out support the Lux Library. Actually, they having a Christmas show on Wednesday, 627 West Merrick Road and Valley Stream. That's 627 West Merrick Road. Come out and support their Christmas show. It's going to be excellent. It's going to be great. I'm actually going to be out there doing photography as well. So if you want to get like a photo of the family, come out there. Doing a special. My price is going to be, special for that day, $30 special for a photo, holiday. So come out that day, support. It's going to be a great event. Don't forget, you can look at, it's the Lux Library, 627 West Merrick Road in Valley Stream. So Thank you. You know, Delicia B. Davis, the founder. And I want to shout out to her sons as well, Avion and Avery as well, co-founders. Your J-Dog. I know J-Dog just had a comment as well. Thank you for calling in, Jay. Brady can be the GOAT, or he's one of the GOATs. Now, I agree he's one of the GOATs, but to me, all I'm saying is that he's one of the GOATs on offense. When you talk about one of the greatest offensive players that ever played the game, I have to put Brady up there. And you got to think about this as well, is that it could go either way, because I'm a big Giants fan, diehard Giants fan, right? And we see Eli won 2 games at the last. He won 2 games, right, for the Giants. Hail Marys, you know what I'm saying? Like spectacular plays that changed the game. But the defense still had to make a stop. Just because you score, you have to stop the other team from scoring to win the game. Because if they score, you're going to keep going back and forth. So yes, the person who scores first wins, but you still, even just like sudden death. Like now what they do in overtime in football is like once you score, then they give the other team a chance to score back, right? Unless you get a touchdown. Right? If you get a touchdown, you automatically win. But if nobody scores, it's a tie game. So yes, you got to score the most points, but not only do you got to score the most points, you got to score the most points and you got to stop the other team from scoring. So the two go hand in hand. And I feel like it's more important. Brady cannot go out there and stop the other team from scoring. We see Michael Jordan hit a game-winning shot and get a defensive play to win the game. We seen LeBron make some amazing shots in the same game and in the same game get a defensive stop. Because when LeBron blocked Andre Iguodala from scoring, they never scored again in that game. That was their best chance at scoring. They had a layup. Pretty much it was a layup or a dunk. And LeBron stopped it. So, I mean, yes, you can be one of the GOATs, but I don't feel like you can be the GOAT. And that's debatable. You know what I mean? Like, who am I? You know, I'm just Mel from Queens, you know, on Mel from Queens Sports Talk, WGJS Radio. You know what I mean? I want more people to call in, 347-410-8077. So with that said, I'm going to transition a little bit. And I want to say that I've never really been into soccer. You know, my youngest son, he loves soccer. But yesterday was a great match, man. That was a great soccer match. It came down to the penalty plays, and Argentina, you know, they pulled it out. You know, France, they fought hard, but it just wasn't enough, man. You know, they missed a couple crucial kicks, and that was that. So we got to give a big shout out to Argentina from winning the World Cup. It was a great match, man. You know, I've been getting more and more into soccer over the years, so I'm definitely going to continue to watch more soccer, you know, as time go on. So, you know, I'm a fan, and I know it's a big sport. Football, not football, but football, you know. So I'm a big fan now of the true football, you know, not football, you know. So I got to give them a shout out. But also, I just want to run down some of the scores from yesterday in the NFL. I believe what's this, week 15? This is what week is this? Yeah, week 15. So yesterday, Thursday, the 49ers beat the Seahawks 21-13. And the Seahawks, they got to be careful because they fighting to get into the playoffs, right? Now, I prefer the Giants make the playoffs. They right there right now with the number one, with the wild card seat. They got the wild card seat. But I like I felt like Geno Smith was blackballed. So I like what's going on at Seattle, right? But Saturday had some games. The Vikings came back and beat the Colts, right? I feel like the Colts just laid down. I just feel like they gave that game up, man. See, here's the thing. Now that you could gamble with sports, I'm telling y'all, people probably betted their money. It's like, yo, the Colts got this. Because now not only can you bet on the game, you could bet on quarters as well. So everybody probably thought the Colts had this in the bag. And next thing you know, look, The Vikings just came back and won. They won that game. I'm pretty sure nobody expect the Cleveland Browns to beat the Ravens 13-3. Nobody expected that. Nobody expected that Saturday. I expect the Bills to beat the Dolphins. That was a good win. They beat the Dolphins 32-29. The Eagles, man, they just rolling. I'm in the NFC East. The Eagles is rolling. I mean, they smashed us last week. They blew us out. They blew us out last week. But yesterday they beat the Bears 25-20. The Saints got a win 21-18 over the Falcons. The Steelers, they won 24-16 over the Panthers. Now, remember I was telling y'all, Mike Tomlin is the only coach in NFL history who never had a losing season. So for a minute, I thought he was going to have a losing season because they started off so bad. But right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers is sitting at 6-8. They can pull off a couple more wins together. They might be able to finish out the seasons either even or either at 500 or above 500. But if he do that, that's going to continue his record. The Cowboys, man, they had this game in the bag and they end up losing this game. I'm happy they lost though because I'm a Giants fan. So anytime the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Commanders lose, count me in, man. Put me down with a smile on my face. I'm gonna have a smile. So I'm glad the Cowboys lose. They lost to the Jaguars. The Chiefs pulled out a game in OT. To me, I still think what's your boy name? Dag, man. I can't even think of his name right now, man. And what's your name? Patrick Mahomes. I still think he's the best player, in the NFL right now on the offense side of the ball. They pulled that game out 30-24 against the Texans. The Broncos won 24-15 against the Cardinals. The Patriots, man, they was on the road, but they lost to the Raiders 30-24. This might be the game that come back and haunt the Patriots if they don't make the playoffs. Because for a minute, I thought they was just kind of like done, but they came back. They started stringing some wins, and they creeped up to one of the teams that was competing for the wild card spot. They still in the contention right now, but they don't have too many more games that they can lose, man. The Chargers beat the Titans 17-14. The Bengals beat the Buccaneers 34-23. And my Giants, man, we beat the Commanders, man, 20-12. So, that's your NFL highlights for the for the weekend and for last week. So, it is what it is, man. But, I thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all always showing love. Mel from Queens Sports Talk, WGJS Radio. It is what it is. Thank you for the caller, Jay. Thank you for the Lux Library for, tuning in, supporting. Thanks for everybody, in studio, So that's all the cameras and stuff like that, flashing and stuff like my boy Mel, thank you, for showing up. Naomi was good in the building, she's in the building. One of our, engineers, behind the scene producers, and Joe Swift, man, the man, he always doing this thing, man. So always supporting him, man. The man that made all of this possible, him and Lady Pauline. So, I thank everybody for supporting. Keep listening. Don't forget, subscribe, comment, like, share, hit the bell. Just don't hit the bell, but go to the bell and hit all so you can get all the notifications. So when the show come on, you'll be able to check us out. Not only just Mel from Queen Sports Talk, but we got so many shows on the network. So just tune into Our World Media. And it is what it is, man. Thank y'all for tuning in again. This is your boy Mel from Queens Sports Talk, WGJS